Hello and welcome to this edition of Pin My Diecasts, and today we're going to be doing the vintage Airfix Churchill MkVII, and it's already built, and I'm going to be using the terrific Redog editions that are available on eBay. The terrific editions for 1/72 76 armour. That one it showed for the Churchill. I've got all the... I bought the net and the scrim, and I've also bought the stowage like here. The first one there was weapons and stuff. They do a big line of stuff for adding on to your 1/76 armour, 1/72. There's some there for a panzer stowage. And it looks good, one's done. And they do decorative bases, diorama bases, in 1/72, 1/76. Which are ideal for if you buy. I'll also be using this that I got on Temu. Honestly, Temu's a superb place to stop for your scenics, for dioramas and other stuff on armour. This stuff makes for good camouflage to go in the scrim nets, as if the soldiers have put local foliage in. Because the idea basically behind the scrim nets that they put on the vehicles is so they can pick local foliage and blend in with the local foliage, like the local trees or whatever's growing, so they blend. It serves two functions. It disguises the shape of it, and it also blends into the shrubbery around them. And first I'm using the scrim net, which I think is one of Redog's, I'm not sure. But I got that off eBay anyway. It's only reasonably cheap. Like for the sets and for the sets of the resin stowage sets and stuff, it's about round about a £5, I think. It's not a bank breaker, and postage is cheap. And here I'm fitting the scrim net with a bit of super glue. Fit it where you want, then trim it up. And there we go, trimmed it up to size. I'm trimming it here with scissors. Feel like a bloody barber. And there I'm putting the actual scrim on the scrim net. Some of it was cloth strips. Just green cloth strips, and they tied onto the scrim net. Again, to hide shapes and blend in with colours, which does a good job of. There we are, just dabbing it on with super glue. Patting it down till it dries, and put some on the rear, and there we go. Slide it around a bit till it sets in, and here I'm putting some of the resin stowage on. There's other bits and pieces, but I just decided on a couple of tent rolls and stuff like that, ground sheets and stuff like that, and also a wooden crate. And here I'm cutting bits off my Temu bargain basement stuff. Just clipping it so I've got nice lengths and stuff to glue onto the scrim nets. As we can see, I've started there. And I just glued on and you can trim it up. I could have, if I'd have desired, gone for a couple of different colours, but one colour's enough. It's as if it's blending into the trees that are in the local area. It just looks like they've ripped a few branches off the trees with leaves on to blend them in. Let's say it doesn't have to be over the whole tank either. It was just over certain bits of it, so it broke up outlines and hid it amongst the tree line and stuff. It's a sort of multifunctional thing, camouflage. And there we go. It's glued on, starting looking the business. And putting some on at the front there. And here we go, trimming again. Beauty of it is you can have straggly bits like the foliage, or you can even, if you want to, use scatter material so it looks like extra leaves on it. And there goes the shaky hands, but I didn't really bother, it looks good enough by itself. And here I'm using one of the Games Workshop, the Citadel paints, and it's one of the mods. I think it's called Sterland mod. I may be wrong, but it's one of the mod effects. It's like a paint that's had grit put in. And I just dab it on. Especially on the Churchill, it has small wheels and had been dragged through the mud. And I dab it on fairly heavy. Like some keeps the detail and some hides the detail because it's heavy, which is my intended route. So it looks like mud's clogged up some areas and not others. I've painted the bedding rolls of tents or whatever they are. And what I've done, I've used the dark brown wash, and then I dry brushed it with the colour I painted it in after I'd done the wash. And what I've done to fetch out the highlights here, I've mixed in a light lemon yellow into the brown so I can dry brush highlights on. And here I did the green. And for the green, again, with my paints, I don't bother looking at colour matches. I use an artist size sort of thing. And I mix lemon yellow in with that green. Because I did a black wash on it for depth, and then I've dry brushed the green on again. And then mix some of the light lemon yellow into the green, so it gave highlights. And oh wait, I've just explained that, I forgot it were on video. I'm putting Games Workshop Null Oil, which is basically a black wash. I've done it on the side skirts, and after I dry brushed it with the green and then mix some lemon yellow in with the green and just dry brush so it give it highlights. So it gives, you're always looking to give depth. And on this one I've used no airbrush, everything's been brush painted. Brush painted and mixing paints. I haven't a big selection of paints either, to be honest. But yeah, it comes on gradually if you have a couple of browns. Here I put some of the lemon yellow in with the brown and dry brush the tracks and wheels. And I also did a bit of scrubbing in to the lower part of the vehicle to give it looking like mud. Surprising what you can do with a brush before you even bother with an airbrush. And at this stage I decided to paint in the straps on the luggage, bed rolls, tent rolls, whatever they are. And I've already painted the tools on the back deck. And there we are. And here I've painted the track links on the side, and I'm just giving them a smattering of Nolan oil, a black wash. I'm giving the rear deck a bit of a black wash to bring out details and tie it together. Which works pretty dang good. And at this point I've not a clue what I'm doing. I do. At this point I'm doing a clear matte gloss, clear matte varnish. And the reason I'm doing that is to give basically the same overall finish on all the paints. But also I use some, as you saw, I used super glue, and some of it were glossy in areas, so we're covering up the super glue areas. And there I'm just dabbing any excess, so I've not got too much. And anyway, here's the finished article. I'll put it on an old model railway base, so it has a bit of a diorama. And basically that's about it. The Redog resin and bits and pieces sets off an otherwise boring kit. Lovely. Like I can say, with all the range they have, you can get rifles on your deck and hooks for your cables. They do helmets, basically everything for every side, the Allied and the Axis. They do both sides. But yeah, I'm quite proud of it for a 172nd, 176. They do come up nice. And let's face it, it's only an old vintage Airfix kit, which is still good, but it needs a bit of an hand. Needs a little bit of an hand in its old age, is what I'm saying. It may well be older than me. I've not checked the dates on this kit. But there we go. Tatty pie, everyone. Tatty pie.